Welcome to this edition of Open-SCAD by DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at building this. This is basically a strut or a cross mount for a 15 millimeter camera system or camera rod system. So one of the things in the sort of video trades or what have you is there seems to be a standard around 15 millimeter rod systems for mounting accessories to various camera situations. So one of the pieces in filming my mini channels is I actually use one of these, and one of the things I wanted to do was to create an additional mounting ability, because one of the things I want to be able to do is mount my FLIR camera onto this 15 millimeter system along with the video camera so I can shoot in tandem. So what I decided to do is whip this up, and I also decided to share this because I think this will be handy for a number of different projects. One of the big challenges in this, especially in making it parametric, is coming up with what I refer to as half of a half. So in short, this target right here is half of a half. So you have this half segment, say for example on this side and this side, and then you have to come up with half of it yet again here. And this is where you might want to steal this code, or at least take a look at this code here that I've come up with to do that. So again, this is a parametric design, and again we had to come up with a half of a half because many things in this design over here depend upon that. So for example, the cinching gap that we create needs to come back, as you see here, into the half. The opening for the 15 millimeter rod has to come into the half, and all that. So it was an interesting little bit of an experiment, a little bit harder than I initially thought, not hugely hard, but definitely I think this is some code you want to take a look at and steal if you're going to do something like this. And you know, a couple other basic pieces is obviously I created lugs up here and then offsets for the hex head bolts to go in, because as we'll see when we go to the bench, what I did is I used 1/4-20 bolts to pass through here and wing nuts for down here to cinch this. You could use thumb screws, Norbert, if you'd like, but I happen to have a bunch of wing nuts laying around, so they're cheap and easy to use. I also made a recess up here for the bolt head, which will attach the accessories, which again we'll see at the bench, which passes through here. And pretty simple and straightforward. Now again, I did make it parametric over here, so I can use it for different rod sizes, lengths, and I can kind of make it universal, because one of the things that you could also do is if you're making a 3D printer, a small CNC, or what have you, and you need you know, sort of rod blocks, this is again another good way to go about achieving that. And actually I think I'm going to use this in an upcoming maybe laser build project. So a lot of different uses for this, even though I'm utilizing this for a camera mount. The rest of the stuff is pretty basic. You know, the cinching over here is, I think, another important point. I've made this parametric, so up here, as you see, I've given it a gap, and in this case I'm using 3 millimeters for the cinch. You know, depending upon the materials in that you use will determine that, and then how much torque you want to place in here. I typically find around 3's pretty good. Now, one of the things that I did do, and we'll take a look at being printed, is I did print this on its side rather than, you know, upright like this, and then what that meant is I didn't have to use any support. So again, this came out pretty good. So tell you what, let's head over, take a quick look at the time lapse, and then we'll meet back at the bench. And don't forget, this code will be out on our website, so if you want to get it, it's over at OpenSCAD.DIY3DTech.com. So let's head over to the time lapse and bench. Welcome back to Open-SCAD by DIY3DTech.com. So we showed the design of this part. Basically, this is a block for our 15 millimeter rail system, which you see here. And what happens is the camera and accessories mount to this rail system, and it mounts on the tripod. Now, what I want to be able to do is have additional accessory mounts that also mount to the rail. So what this does is actually attaches on the front of this and is tightened down by 1/4-20 screws and wing nuts. I'll probably do up some thumb screws for this, and then what I've added is another mount down here.
so I can mount my FLIR camera. So as I'm videoing the lasers and things like that, it works out well, so I can have both camera setups. And then I'm going to actually do another one for the back here to mount an additional video monitor. So this is kind of handy, and again, the concept here is very handy. So we have the recessed pods for the heads of the quarter 20s, also the recessed head for the quarter 20 to mount the accessory to. So again, I can take this, flip it around, and mount my monitor to it too, with a little bit of a riser back here. Is what I'll do, is have it mounted back here. So kind of a handy little piece, no matter what you're designing for. Again, you can rescale this to meet your needs, so it works out pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with the way that this came out. So hopefully you found this build interesting. If you have any questions, of course, hit me up below. So be sure to hit the like button. Also, there'll be a subscribe button coming up over here shortly. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. That way you're updated when we release new videos. And if you are subscribed already, thank you very much for being a subscriber of this channel. And hey, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.